to Kids Draw Architecture. I'm Ida Clare, California's acting state architect. I come to you today in Sacramento, in front of California's beautiful state capitol. Kids Draw Architecture was a program that started 30 years ago with the Santa Barbara Architectural Foundation. 3 years ago, AIA California decided to bring this program to the children of the state of California. Kids Draw Architecture encourages kids to grow out in their local community and find architectural gems to draw, to learn more about the buildings and more about the profession of architecture. We also encourage you to connect with your local architect to find out more about how drawing plays such an important part of the architectural profession. I know that we are in COVID crisis right now, and so we can't do this in person, but you still can do your own drawing safari with your family and go out and find a local gem to draw. A little bit about California State Capitol. This building was built in the 1860s and it's a neoclassical building. It has 8 columns that support a pediment and a dome that is 64 feet tall. You can draw any one of these items on your drawing safari if you choose to draw Sacramento State Capitol. You can also look at other pictures of the Capitol online to find other aspects of the Capitol to draw. But we also encourage you on a beautiful day to grab your sketch pad, some pencils, and a comfortable chair, and really just take your time to draw your favorite building, a building you might want to know more about that is in your local community. So now I'd like to introduce Chris Holt, who's AIA Central Valley's chapter president, and he's going to give you some drawing tips today and talk a little bit more about AIA Central Valley's program, Experience Architecture. Chris?
So welcome all the kids and families out there. Today we're going to look at this beautiful building that Ida just told you about, and we're going to do a little bit of sketching. This is a little different this year as we're doing Experience Architecture as a virtual only program, but I think it's going to do a lot to allow everyone to participate. With that, let's get to the sketching. So I came out earlier and I did a couple of sketches of the Capitol here. This is kind of the quality that you want to get. You don't want to spend too much time on them. You just want to get the basics, have some fun, and capture the essence of what you see while you're there. So today we're going to take a moment. We're going to talk a little bit about proportion and a little bit about detail. We're going to make a sketch right here. So most of the tools that I use are ink and pencil. Sometimes I use watercolor when I need to, but today we're going to focus primarily on ink. I use a little mechanical pencil because you don't have to carry a sharpener, and that makes it a lot easier. And I also use an assortment of fountain pens, which I prefer the line weight that they give you. So let's get started here with the Capitol in front of us. As Ida was saying, it has columns, it has a base, and it has the pediment. And those are the most important parts to get started with. Just going to take a quick measurement here of where I think the top of the pediment is here and the bottom of the pediment is here, and then how long I think the columns are going to end up being, and then how long I think the base is going to end up being. Usually this can break out into a rough measurement of thirds of the building. And I like to do a lot of these light lines. In the end, you don't really see them, but it does help me make sure that I'm getting all of the items into the frame that I want to have. Once I've got kind of the top of the pediment here, I'll go ahead and add in the bit of the dome here, the second level of the dome here, and then the very top piece roughly here. It looks like I'm going to lose a little bit of the dome off of the page, but I'm okay with that in this particular sketch. I'm just being nice and quick and fluid. Now what's important is to draw the center line right down where the columns are. So I start here. That's really my center line. And everything kind of slants off in a perspective to the left and to the right from that line. Now the center line of the dome is actually a little bit behind that, roughly right there. Okay, so we have the two center lines established now. Let's go ahead and just start sketching in very, very roughly. So the pediment kind of does that. You get the little bit below, does that. And then it's time to start with some columns. The columns we originally measured out to be about there, but I think they're going to be just a little bit longer. We got 2 on the corner, just like that. We've got 2 before the midline, just like that. And then 2 more in the corner here. So we've roughed out where the columns land. Now let's do the base. Base kind of does that. And there's 5 openings in the base, so let's get those roughed out as well. Now if you're going to have 5, you can start in the middle and put the first one in. Then you just have to do 2 to each side. 1 and 2. Our base is a little bit too small there, so we're going to just make a small correction. Okay, same thing here. 1 and 2. Okay, now we've got most of the building sketched out here, and you can see this proportion is roughly about right to what you can see up there. We've got the little statue here. It's got a nice horse and a bear there. And then the other statue over here is another horse. His legs up. And a rider with his arm up. And you don't have to get very detailed with things. You just want to make a rough reference to them. So now, let's go ahead and draw in the dome here. We've got one form that comes up to about there. Comes around. Big, big, big arches. Actually comes all the way over here. And we've got another step here. Another big arch. As you're looking up on cylindrical things, the arches get bigger and more pronounced. And that gives you the feeling of depth as the point of view changes. And we've got one little step here. And we've got a nice dome. And we usually want to get that dome in there pretty well. It's very difficult to draw half cylinders and half spheres in perspective, but if you just practice a bit, you'll get it good enough. Now, the nice thing about this midline that I put here is actually it can become the flagpole here, which has our flags blowing in the breeze today. So there, you can see the basic outline of a sketch. From here, you could go ahead and use a fountain pen to add some more detail if you'd like. You can start doing some shading. There are any number of ways to continue to dress this up. Okay, sometimes you just want to draw one of the details. Sometimes it's a little bit too difficult to take on the whole building. So what we're going to use is a bit of a thicker pencil here, and we're going to sketch just 2 of the columns and the little doorway behind it. Okay. And again, just like with the whole building, you really want to set up the heights of your elements first. Make sure that you can get them all in and make them look right. So I've got one there. I think I'm going to do the other one right over here. Right about there. And we've got a third column over here, but we're not going to do much with it. We're just going to let it stay there. The door that we want to draw is actually right about here. It comes down on the other side of the column, just like that. So you can kind of already start to see the column wants to be right about here. We've got a very large capital on the column here. Like that. Same thing over here. Capital is the top, and then there's the shaft. And you'll see on a lot of columns they're actually skinnier at the top than they are at the bottom. And that's done very purposely to correct the perspective as you look up the column and make it look like it's the same width all the way up when you're looking up. So I'm going to draw this other column here, and you can kind of see I'm making it quite a bit thinner here than it is down here. And if you look closely, that's exactly what you'll see on these columns. Okay. We've got the bases of the columns, just like that. We've got a railing back there behind the columns, which looks a bit like this. And normally, I try to get everything into the drawing first with a very large pencil, because it keeps me from being too detail oriented.
Do you run into that when you're running on it before?
I'm okay.
Can't even find it.
Yeah, it's okay. So let's keep working on the door right behind, like that. And on this door, it's an arch. It's got a column, does that, and there's an arch. And this arch is actually behind that column right there. Just like that. The arch comes down and lands on this side. See? Just like that. And there you have a quick sketch of just some columns and the door behind it. I challenge you to go out into your own area and find some interesting details on buildings and do some sketches of those and post them to the hashtag AIACA Kids 2020 on Instagram. Thank you and have fun sketching.